right, this is studio routing video take 2. I know I love you too. All right, kids. So I was like halfway through it, and the phone started ringing, and people showed up, so I just deleted. So in the video before the last video, somebody said, hey, can you explain the routing of the studio? So I want to try to do this. Maybe it was good that I did it once because I realized how hard it was. So this is the live room. This is where a lot of music happens. Vocals, acoustic guitars, electric guitars. Most all of the noise making is in here. So I've got a breakout box, or like a snake, with mic inputs. And there's the headphones, so that people can have headphones in here. Anyway, this box comes all the way around here. And it comes out with 16. This is very weird. This was custom made by Gepco, I think. I think this was Gepco, whatever. Came out with 16 TTs. And the reason being is I was transitioning from, I was kind of going from the console to hybrid to, so I didn't know what I wanted. So I said, well, let me just do TT. So these are plugged straight into the preamps, which I've got, pair of BAE Neves, APIs, Montesi, all that stuff. All right, so let me back up an inch. These are 2 patch bays. These are 96 point. They're TT, so they're smaller than. I think that stands for tiny telephone. I don't know, but they're smaller than like a 1/4 inch. But basically, a patch bay is the back of your equipment. So if I want to plug that a microphone into that mic pre, and then run that into a distressor, and then go into, an EQ, and go, it's all right here. The back of everything is right here. So, well, let's just say I wanted to do that. So here's out 1. So if I plugged into 1 on the patch in the breakout box, then it would go straight into that first API. And then I would come out of that API, and then I could come into, I've got D&D, which is distressor 1, distressor 2. Go into that. I could come out of that, and then you'll see next to distressor, I've got G with 2. That's the left side and right side of the GML. And then I can go into that, and I can come out of that and go into, here's all my Pro Tools ins, 1 through 16. Okay? Does that kind of make sense? So I'm broad stroking this, but if this is kind of new for you, or you've never really worked like this might be interesting, or not, or confusing, I don't know. And then this is the back. This C is the back of the SansAmp. But there it is. So that's the basic, that's my main hardware, which is, all these mic pre's. Some of them are all predetermined for different cabinets and everything, and different microphones, and that's for my desk microphone VL. That's my voice lesson. So that's plugged straight. This is directly into that, and that's straight into its converter, and every day is the same. And the way this works is this Avid HDIO is 16 in and 16 out. And what that does is basically, they're called converters, right? It turns, sound is analog, and then what it's stored in the computer is 1s and 0s. So it converts it from analog to digital, and then it'll also go back from digital to analog. So if you put a microphone into this, it converts it digital to go into Pro Tools, and then it comes out analog so that you can hear it through the speakers or the headphones. So this is 16 by 16, but I do not use input 1 and 2. Input 1 and 2 is the Burl. And the Burl B2 is 2 channels of transformer conversion. Really good. If anybody's ever worked with Burl, you guys know, whoa, that is heavy duty. So basically the Burl is plugged into the Avid HDIO through a port called AES EBU. So what it is that this is 1 and 2, and then the Avid becomes 3 through 16. So 1 and 2 is eaten up by this input. So anyway, that gives you kind of an idea. This is a GML 8200 EQ, pair of distressors, a SansAmp for bass. So, and then I've got a Trip Light power conditioner. Very important that your power is clean and your gear is somewhat protected, Trip Light. And then I have an Avocet. The Avocet is what sends, everything goes into the Avocet, and then the Avocet is really mission control. So if I play this, let me turn this down so I don't blow our heads off. Right, so that's out. Yeah, let me get rid of this. So out 1 is the Adams A77X's. Out 2 would be a second pair. So if I go to out 2, you hear nothing because I don't have a second pair. I always use this with the Genelec and the NS10, but I got rid of the second pair a couple years ago. I just wasn't really using it. And I like the sound of it like this without another pair here. It's the spread and the field is better to me. Anyway, so there you go. Now, output 3 is on and off. So remember, output 1 and 2 toggles, so you don't get both speakers at one time. But and output 3 is the sub. So if I go to output 2, which you won't be able to hear, and I kill output 3, you'll hear nothing. But now if I put it in output 3, you'll hear sub. Anyway, you get the gist of it. Then I go here, and you get everything. Okay, capiche? Does that make sense? If you're confused, leave me a comment, and I've been very good this past 6 months of replying. Because it matters to me, because I'm a YouTube watcher guy, and I comment on people's stuff, and when I ask a direct question and nobody ever replies, it kind of bums me out. So I try to keep it up. Here's an Axe-Fx FM9 and a Kemper. These both go out here. So there's Kemp, the little P touches between it, so it's left and right, like Kemp, between the Kemp, and then the X is Axe-Fx, and then this over here is for the Shure reactive load, but I don't even use that dang thing anymore. I bought that Shure reactive load. I used it. It was really nice. I did some videos. I really enjoyed it. I've never used it again. I don't know. I got hooked back on cabs. They just always sound better to me. I don't know why. All right. So then this would be the Kemper into, this is 13 and 14. Here, if I want to go Kemper into the Burl, which, again, when I'm using a lot of, like when I'm really tracking, I track everything I can, for the most part, through the Burl. I just like the way it sounds. So, microphones, vocals, acoustic, bass goes through there. All these guitars, guitar mics. So then I would just take out where this Kemper is, this K, I would just take these out. And this is 1 and 2 for the Burl. It's separate from this for a reason. But anyway, so it would be there. And then once it's there, if I want to use the Axe-Fx, I just move these over, and that's it. And then I've got my distressor 1 and 2, my GML 1 and 2, and I've got C, which I don't know why it says C. SansAmp, I don't know. Probably at one point it was something else, but and then you'll see like I tape around it because these are very small and my vision is really bad, and I like to work kind of in the dark, so I have to make it idiot proof. And you can see there's like lines here. These are for my Burl B2. That used to be my Burl B32, which I sold. Because this year I've gone completely in the box for mixing. So that's kind of the setup here. This is for making beats and programming drums and writing songs. That's the the UA satellite Octo. There's my headphone amps so I can hear, and ports for USBs. But that's really the main stuff. This is one of the greatest things. If you're serious about tracking guitar, I cannot recommend this thing more. It is absolutely incredible. This is the Peterson Strobo Stomp HD, and I'm not selling gear. I'm just telling you, this thing is unbelievable. And I've been a Polytune guy for forever, and the Polytune's cool, and live it's cool, but for the studio, that is a whole other level. And the strobe tuner that comes in the Fractal. So if anybody from Fractal's watching this, your strobe tuner sucks. It sucks. I hate that strobe tuner. But anyway, there you go. A bunch of pedals, and I got my pedal board. So now I've got my amps. So these amps, all the backs of the speaker inputs all are on these. These were also made for me by Gepco. I wish I'd have made more of them, and I wish I'd have made some longer ones too. But so they're male to female. So this says Mesa, which should say Recto, but this is the back of the Recto. So this is like my own little patch bay. There's the 800. That's the back of the 800. And so what I do is I've got my Mesa cab, and then I've also got my Matchless cab, which this, for the most part, only ever goes in the Matchless, because for whatever reason, Matchless likes 4-ohm cabinets. So the Matchless is set to 4 ohms. But the rest of it's all this. And at some point, I'd really like to get another open back cab. I enjoy open back cabs, but I would want to get an 8-ohm one. So yeah, so this is 8 ohms, and this is an X pattern of vintage 30s and greenbacks. And then this is the Matchless cab with greenback and H30, and it's all mic'd up, and all the mics are plugged into here. You see them all in there. They're already in their respective inputs, which all go out to the patch bay, which is basically the back of the preamp, and you'll see it here. So 1 and 2 here is the Mesa. This is the first 2 mics on the Mesa cab, and then this first Ericsson is GB, which is greenback. So basically, the Neves or the BAEs are these 2 mics respectively, and then that is on a greenback. That's the Montesi, and then I've got a 57L TLM 102, and that is right here on the API. So this is a pair of API 512s, and people always ask me, what do you like better on guitars, Neves or APIs? I'm a Neve guy. Now, keep in mind, Nashville is a little bit of an API town, but listen to their records. It's, it's a little brighter, it's a little quicker, it's a little more smiley. I'm a little darker. I like Neves. They're a little slower. They're a little heavier sounding. I don't know. They just have like a more of a So that's just me. There you go. The old saying in LA was track on a Neve, mix on an SSL. So this here is like the patch bay for the amp setups. So we've got the back here. This is my patch bay for the speaker cables, right? For the speaker outputs or inputs, right? And there's all 5 of them. There it is. You can see there's 5. 800, Mark IV, rectifier, my 77, and the Matchless. So all of them are right there. Boom. 5 amps. Now, I have 1 and 2. So I plug into input here, and then there's like kind of there's like a tuner out, which I don't know how it's all plugged in, but the tuner's going to the tuner. And then there's 4 outs, and they all have ground lifts, and they have polarity switches, which flips the waveform. I cannot stress how amazing this unit is. You can go crazy and get an amp Pete, and and some of these companies make them for like $2,000. I don't know. This is just perfect. And having ground lifts on everything is the key. So basically, I've got 4 outputs. So I really could have all 4 amps going out. But what I've got is I've got 1 and 2 coming out here. This is 1. It says 1, all P touched. And this is 2. So these, like if I want to, track the boogie, plug this in, turn it on, have that there. If I go, oh, you know what I want to do? I want to do the matchless. I go like that. Now you can get a switcher for that too, but I don't. I just manually, kind of less is more. And then I have one up here that goes for these. So it's like a ergonomic thing, and that's it. So 1 and 2 are amps, and then 3 and 4 go into Kemper and the Fractal. And then what I've got also on the DI out, how is this? The DI, yeah. So I can I unplugged like one of them. I think I always have the Kemper's plugged in. So here's Axe-Fx or DI. If I use DI for bass, then coming out of the DI is a through. So everybody understand that. So the DI is sent to Pro Tools, but then there's a through that's wired straight into the SansAmp. That's for bass. So if I go in and I go, let's say, like a thing I do a lot with bass is I'll do Kemper, which I've got, that's what I just did. I've got the SynMix SVT on. And then, so I'll get a stereo Kemper of the SVT. Then I get a mono of the DI, because it plugs out into the DI. I get the mono of the DI. And everything, again, is routed into here. The back of all this stuff is right here. I'll show you in a second. And then coming out of the DI is a through that goes straight into the SansAmp. And that's it, man. And this is my reamp box, which is the Red Eye, the Little Labs, which is fantastic. And there is the Shure Reactive Load. And, these two things have kind of are in the same... I so badly want to be that kind of guy that, like, records a DI with everything and reamps everything. I just don't. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's my age or what. I just want to get the sound right and go, man. I don't know, man. It's so anyway, there it is. And then so I have a really good cable coming out of this, or going into this for guitars. So that's here. So I plug this. I'm like plugging straight in, but I can put it here and then use this cable. And then I've got this row, which is my primary recording chain to go into the amps. So I plug in here and it gives me, and to me, this is what I need. I mean, I could do without maybe the EP booster and the fuzz, but the rest of this is really important, which this is obviously the Boss EQ. This is the Woodshed. This is so awesome. This is the Shure compressor, the Andy Wood compressor. An EP booster I use occasionally. And sometimes it's just a little too heavy-handed for my taste. The 808 and the Meunier, very different, overdrives, incredible. I think they're both great. 800 or 808 is like slick and kind of like not lean. It is lean. There's a leanness. This is the clone. This thing is another thing I can't, man. This thing is absolutely unbelievable. It's loud and heavy. It's got a lot of gain. But if you really back this thing off and you use it like kind of edge of breakup, it's sweet. It's just perfect. And then I've got an L cap. Now remember, this is all before the amp. And then the fuzz, big muff. So there you have that. Now, and then I've got the Trio of Doom, the Strymon. These are all connected in stereo. And then I can run them in the loops. I can run in front for these. But most of the time I don't. I just do, God, I got 9,000 people calling in at the same time. Anyway, I run these in the loop, and I've really got this thing down to a science where I can run like the left side into the rectifier, and then the right side into, let's say, the matchless. And I do cleans with that and pan it left and right. So in there, like in the live room, I'd have the Mesa going through the 412, and then the matchless would be going through the open back 212. And with these in stereo, oh man, I mean, just money. And there is a little bit of crosstalk because it's not like isolated, but that's the best I have because I don't like the sound of tents anymore. Yeah, I just don't like the way they sound. So, and you know what? The little bit of bleed is so inconsequential. I just don't worry about it. And there it is. And this has been a little bit the bane of my existence. Came in about two and a half weeks ago from my friend, and it was unbelievable. And like within 5 seconds, I had broken one of the pots. Oh, but it's perfect now. It's all good. So yeah, that's it. I put the channel switch or the foot switch for the Mark IV down here because it's so long. So if I put it long ways here, it's like to get to the loop, I gotta like the rectifier one's real small and it's just right there. I don't know. Just this was just better down here. And there's my pedals. I got a pair of the the EV1s expression pedals for the Fractal. That's the Mission Engineering for the Kemper, and then I've got a bunch of other wahs and volumes and expressions. But there you go. So if you have any questions, just let me know. If I can answer them, I will. Sometimes if I'm really in an intense tracking session, I'll cover all this stuff with sheets just so it doesn't start going, I got to get this out of here. This is the remnants of my office that in the house that's now my son's bedroom. So I got to do that today. And I don't know where it's going to go, but that's got to go. Well, anyway, feels good to be home. 10 days on vacation. It was great. It's it's a lot though. It's a long time away. Yep. So any questions, just let me know. Like and subscribe.